This is total.
Hey, what the hell are we recording?
Yeah, and you're screwing up the intro.
What about my part? It's supposed to be our podcast, right?
Come on, man. I'm trying to be professional about this.
You know damn well there ain't nothing professional about what we're doing here. Welcome to Totally Unprofessional. It's Manuel and Justin, his two best friends shooting the breeze about nothing and about everything. We're separated by 10 years, 2 points of view on every subject from 2 different generations. Listen as we talk sports, events, and anything else that might come up. There's nothing professional about what we're doing here, hence the name, Totally Unprofessional. All right, it's Monday.
This is episode number 5.
Is it 5 already?
5, yep.
What the?
5.
Damn. We're piling these up. If you continue to follow us and listen, hey, thanks a lot for following. It's cool to know people are listening to us. You're pointing at him. Why are you pointing at him?
His phone went off right now, and it was loud.
Oh, he's buying beer next time. He's not even old enough.
He's not old enough to buy beer. You're buying sodas or slushies.
That guy's bringing Sonic slushies for
there
next
you go.
time. That's what he's got to bring now. Of course, those aren't in the diet, so I don't know. But
we'll figure something out.
Yeah. So, short weekend. Not a lot happening this weekend. I think everything panned out the way it was supposed to. I watched some boxing Saturday night. That was, I don't know if I can call it good, but the result was what everybody thought it was going to be. Canelo knocked out Khan. I don't think the lead up to the knockout was what everybody thought. We talked about maybe I thought Khan could do it if he did some certain things. Tell you what, that guy moved real good early. Had Canelo off balance, and when Canelo decided, okay, Punk, you're going to slow down and start hitting him in the body, it was over. Took about 2.5 rounds, and Khan couldn't protect his body anymore because he was hurting. And his hands fell down one time to protect his body. Canelo caught him on the chin, and he was out.
Like flatlined him?
Well, he hit him on the chin. Khan hits the ground where he's going backwards, and like every boxer that hits when he's falling back, I'm not sure that the punch actually knocked him cold. I think it was his head bouncing off the mat because his head took a pretty good bounce off of that. And even Canelo saw him because as soon as the ref waved it off, Canelo ran over and was kneeling next to him like, hey, you all right? I mean, it looked, the punch itself was vicious. It was a nice right-handed cross to the chin. I mean, straight to the chin. Khan fell straight back, but like I said, that head bounced off the mat. That's crazy.
Pretty bad.
That's some crazy shit. I mean, if you've ever seen that, I've seen a handful of fighters that happened to, man, that's ugly. And Khan laid there with his eyes open, but you could tell he was out. Ref is waving it off and calling for people already. I mean, it was pretty ugly. But like I said, Khan made it interesting. He was winning three out of 5 to that point. It was 3-2 when he got knocked out. Got a lot of people talking about if he fights Triple G, is it going to go the way Canelo wants it to? Because Khan did hit him. And I don't know if Khan hurt him. They didn't ask him if he did. But he did get hit.
I was saying, did it seem like it? Like, did it seem
it
like
didn't
he was
look
affected?
like it. It never really looked like it. But I'll tell you what, Triple G's got bricks in his gloves, and if he gets hit like that against Triple G, I'm willing to bet he's going to go down. But no matter what happens, whoever the underdog is, I'm putting money on because I could see either one of those two winning.
Did you have any skin in the game Saturday?
I did. I had one little meager $20 bet that I had to cough up this morning, just because he gave me 4-1. So I thought that was a worthwhile bet. And for 3 rounds, I thought I was counting some money.
I was saying you didn't find any bets where they bet on the rounds, like what round it was going to.
No, I don't usually do those props for boxing. I did with Mayweather Pacquiao only because the payout on a Pacquiao knockout was pretty huge. So I think it was like 25-1 or something like that. So I put some money on that one. There was no reason to not try putting $100. But it ended the way everybody thought it was. One of the most interesting parts at the end of the fight, so they do their post-fight interviews. Khan had regained his senses enough to do a post-fight. So, they interview Canelo, and he's like, yes, this, and blah, blah, blah. Typical winner statement. The interesting one was when they interviewed Khan. They interviewed Khan, and they say, so, anything different? He said, no. He goes, but really, this isn't about me. I stepped up. I took the fight, because he did step up in weight class. He says, I stepped up. I took the fight. It's up to Canelo now to step up and fight Triple G. He needs to step up and be a fighter and take that fight and be a man. Oh, the crowd didn't like that.
Oh, really?
The crowd started booing him at that point. But I'm like, it's about damn time a fighter calls out another fighter and says, go fight this guy because it's the fight everybody wants to see right now.
Yeah.
You know, nobody called out Mayweather. Nobody called out Pacquiao back. I mean, and they did end up fighting, but that fight was probably 7 years too late.
Well, see, I think that goes back to what we talked about a while back about the UFC being its own promotion.
Yeah.
And how boxing is different. There's a third party involved, whether it's Showtime or HBO or whoever. The UFC itself is an entity that puts on fights, it promotes the fights, you know, everything is through them. There's no middleman, and I think that's why, and we talked about before about like all the different, the WBC, all the different levels of boxing that hurts them. But I think that's why you see more call-outs in MMA than you do in boxing, because boxing there's so much other BS that you can go through.
Well, the biggest one that I remember was when Lewis and Tyson were fighting, because of course Lewis was an HBO fighter and Tyson was a Showtime fighter, and it took them a while to come to terms for that, which ended up being one of the greatest disappointments outside of the Michael Spinks fight. But they always have problems like that, and it's got to get to the point where, you know what, okay, look, your network won't host it, my network won't host it, let's find a third-party network that will split some money with us, and we'll put it there so that nobody has sole benefit of it. But these damn promoters, I get it. There's money involved. Yeah. I get it. There's a lot of money involved. Scratch that. There's a shit ton of money involved.
In boxing, there's
We've
a shit ton of money.
talked about boxing and how those guys make money that's comparable or that's compatible with what they raise. So, you know, your pay-per-view buys you generate, you make more money. You know, your door's obviously going to do so much, but the more you can promote it, the more you're going to get paid. It's not like those poor UFC guys who get peanuts compared to the boxers. Yeah. So I get it. There's a lot of money involved, but you got to step up and fight people, you know. And Mayweather did that in the end of his career. He could pick and choose, and he did fight the young fighters. You got to give him that. He took on the Canelo fight, but you know that Pacquiao fight should have happened 7 years ago, and it didn't. Yeah. And that's going to be the one knock on that poor guy is he didn't fight Pacquiao when he should have. And he kept saying, well, I deserve more money. It's something you claimed you wanted a legacy. You wanted to be the greatest ever. The reason you're not the greatest ever is because you didn't take that fight when it meant more. Yes, you took the fight, but you didn't take it when it needed to happen. You took it when it had to happen. Yeah. You know, it needed to happen 7 years ago. Well, you needed that fight to retire and walk away and say, okay, I'm done. I've done it all. Well, you took it 7 years too late, you know. Is the outcome any different 7 years later? I don't know. You never know. Pacquiao was younger. Some might have said a little more ferocious, but again, I'll always stand by the fact I think Mayweather's one of the greatest defensive fighters ever. So, you know, I don't know. But, hey, you know what? Kudos to Khan. He went out there. He gave props to Canelo. He said he's going to go back down to 147, though, because that's his natural weight. But, again, he called him out. He called Canelo out and said, hey, fight him. You know, if you're a man, fight him.
Well, what does Triple G fight at?
They both fight at middleweight.
Oh, okay.
So, well, Canelo's the 150, I believe it's a 154 champion. I think it is.
That's what the fight was fought at this weekend.
It was fought at 154. I believe Canelo is the it's super middleweight, super cheese. There's so many stinking divisions. Junior middleweight, Junior middleweight is the 152. So
he's not allowed to
you know, and he usually gets a couple of pounds in with his fights because he is heavier. Triple G's the linear middleweight champion. So those two will probably meet at 160. It'll be better for Canelo. He'll be naturally bigger. But again, Triple G he's in a fighter in his own world right now. Mayweather never would have gone up high enough to fight him. But I'm going to tell you what, after watching how far Mayweather has come from 130 to 154, 152, whatever you want to call it, there's no reason he couldn't have gone one more and possibly done it. We saw Roy Jones Jr. go up and beat John Ruiz in the heavyweight division. You know, and Roy Jones was a light heavyweight. You know, so you get some interesting matchups if guys move weight classes, but then you get no bash to Khan, but you get Khan, like people like Khan that'll say, well, hey, I'm not even in my weight class. I came up to take the fight, you know, and he's not lying. It's not a cop out or a bailout, but it is. You know, he's lighter. He's a smaller guy. He's not naturally that big. Canelo's a natural 155, 157 guy. Yeah. You know, 160 will probably be even a little more natural, closer to his walking around weight. But anyways, yeah, that was an interesting boxing scenario. I had to rush home to be able to catch that. I got home in the middle of the first round, so I was glad I didn't miss much of that.
Right. NBA playoffs still going on. Thunder beat the Spurs yesterday.
Oh man, I was watching that. Did you see that?
Yeah, I saw a lot of it. That was interesting.
I like watching Durant's mom on the sideline. That gal gets into the games, man.
Yeah.
She's rooting her boy on
yeah.
big time.
Also, as we speak right now, the Warriors Trailblazers game is going on in the end of the second quarter right now. Heat beat the Raptors by 7. 94-87 was the final. Series is tied 2 apiece.
Was that
that
today?
game? Yeah, that game also went overtime for the third out of the 4 games that has gone overtime.
Did Whiteside play?
No.
Okay.
He has a sprained MCL.
And somebody else is out. Somebody in Toronto's out.
Valanciunas.
There you go.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the post yesterday about that he was out the rest of the series.
For the Warriors, they have Curry coming off the bench in this game.
We talked about that Friday that he was probably going to start seeing a little bit of minutes.
We didn't see him not playing. As it stands right now, he has played 10 minutes. He shot 3 of 8 from the field and has 6 points. 0 for 3 from the 3-point line.
Legs aren't quite there yet.
I'll do you one better. Marcus Speets, who's one of their 5s, is 2 for 2 from the 3-point line. The score right now, with 3 minutes left, is 45-48 left in the second quarter. If you're following baseball, Friday night and the Red Sox-Yankees series, holy shit. The umpire behind the plate had 31 missed calls and then missed the last call with David Ortiz at the plate.
Ejected Ortiz, didn't he?
And Farrell. John Farrell and him both ejected. He missed the call by 6 inches.
Okay, hold on. Before you even talk about umpires anymore, okay? I did that for a long time. You get milliseconds to make the call. You've got to decide whether you're looking at where it crosses the plate and you're trying to gauge height. Most of the time, if you've ever watched an umpire, they're not typically in a kneeling position. They're in a squat, maybe a half squat, you could even call it. Yeah, and you're trying to get them to call because there's so many interpretations to knee to shoulder or knee to chest, whatever it's written now, you know. And I'm not one for replay to change or criticize officials in general. In the NFL, I think they've done a real good job of cleaning things up. I know it was a little crazy before. Oh man, it's stupid, dog. This is the drawback to not being famous and not having a studio.
Right.
Is dogs like to bark at us just because we're loud. There we go. Door's closed now. The NFL's really cleaned up their replay policy, only allowing coaches to challenge so many times. The NBA is getting better with it. Only reviews within 2 minutes, right into the half.
Oh, for
replay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's got to get cleaned up at some point because you don't want to get to this point where, okay, did he miss 31 calls? Yes, he did. Or what was it? 31.
Yeah. 30.
Did he miss 31? Yes. Now let's start talking about how many of those are judgment calls and how many of those are straight rule interpretations, because there's a difference between getting a rule wrong and costing a team, say, a run or even a game.
Well, here's the scenario. This is why it becomes even more under a microscope. The bases were loaded. And the pitch he took that dropped 6 inches off the plate that he sat on would have walked in a run and would have tied the game.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Now, the next pitch, he also sat on. He sat on 3-1. That one was missed by 6 inches. The 3-2 pitch, he sits on again, is outside wide, but it's sitting up a little higher, and he also calls it a strike. If it's in the same vicinity like it was supposed to be the outside corner because most guys won't pitch inside to Ortiz because they know what kind of damage he can do. If he sits on that and it's called straight like it was, he sat on it because of what the last call was. He didn't like it. He voiced his opinion about it. But if you're being consistent, that should have been a ball as well. And either one would have walked in a run and tied the game, and they would have had momentum to win that game. But that's not what happened. Which is why John Farrell went out and argued, and then Ortiz actually came back out and went bananas on him and got thrown out himself. Now,
were we at Wingstop or
we were eating when we saw it. So that right there, to me, as an umpire, it's one of the hardest games to officiate baseball because you don't get that time like you do in the NFL to watch something, or even in the NBA, it's got to happen quick. But it's not like baseball where you're watching 90, 100 miles an hour, a blur. It's literally a blur. You don't see the stitches. You don't see the placement in slow motion. I'm sorry, you don't. I don't care how good your vision is. You just don't.
No.
Like you said, it's a judgment call.
Yeah.
And it's being a ref or an umpire or an official of any type is a thankless job. It just is. You're not going to make everybody happy. You're going to get chewed out by somebody.
For sure.
So I understand that. But if you're going to hold your athletes to a standard as professionals, your umpires should be the same. It's the same problem I have with the NBA going, well, in the last 2 minutes of this game, there were 5 missed calls, and this team should have won because that basket shouldn't have counted. There should have been a foul call there. They should have never done that and not made a no call. Don't say that to a team that lost. You can't sit there and go, well, we know you should have won after we look back at it, but we're not changing anything.
Yeah.
You can't do that. Now, baseball, in this situation, it did cost him the game in a way because it could have changed momentum. I'm not saying that they would have won for sure, but it at least would have went extra, and there would have been a longer game. If you're going to hold your athletes to a standard, these umpires need to be held to a standard. This guy's not a rookie. This is not the first time he's had a bad game like this behind the plate. 31 missed calls is the 7th most this season in the major leagues.
Well, then that falls on the MLB then, because you've got to hold. If you're going to hold them, okay, let's go back a couple of years. Do you remember that horrid year we had replacement refs in the NFL for a few weeks? Do you remember that?
Yeah, the touchdown interception in Seattle.
Nobody's ever going to forget that year because of the officiating. Nobody's going to remember who won the Super Bowl that year. Everybody's going to remember Golden Tate in Seattle and the half catch. Okay? Everybody's going to remember all of the college level flags that were getting thrown for weeks. You know? The NFL understood at one point, oh shit, if we don't get our boys back out here, we're going to lose fans because this is unacceptable. They knew what was going on. So did they cave completely? No, but they understood the importance of having the reputable refs out there, the right ones. You know, MLB's going to have to do something so that they don't have to come up and say, sorry, we fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean, and at some point the NBA is going to have to figure out, man, we can't keep doing this because, one, for, I don't want to say as little because it's not a little, but for as little as they work, they're making a heck of a lot of money. You know, most of these guys, they've spent their life working to get to the pros like the athletes do, and they're there, and they're reaping the rewards of putting in the work, which is professional level salary. Don't get me wrong, I know it has its drawbacks, but at some point, they're going to have to come up and say, all right, our guys are completely reliable, completely trustworthy. We trust them in there. We're not going to walk behind them and say they should have done this or they should have done that. Now, am I for closed meeting sessions where they go, hey, jackass, you missed this call. You can't be doing this. This makes us look bad. Absolutely. You know, you need to be in a closed door session. One of the things I used to do when I worked for the city here as an official, we would meet every couple of weeks and they would say, hey, how's it going? Have any questions come up? You know, I've been out there watching you. Have you noticed this and this? Okay, good. Oh, you haven't? Well, hey, pay attention. This is how you can get in better position. Now, these guys have all gone through that. You know, if they're getting lax, we're going to get back to this, hey, take pride in what you do crap, because these guys obviously aren't taking pride in the fact that, one, they're making big league salary for umpires, referees, officials, whatever you want to call them. They're making big league salary. Hey, make the big league decisions then. Get in there and make the right ones. Are you going to miss some? Yes, nobody's perfect, especially officials. We talked about it. You got that millisecond to make that decision. Whether it's NBA, NFL, hockey, it doesn't matter. You get a split second to make that decision, but make the right one. You know, and be, like you said, baseball is the game of consistency. The more consistent the home plate umpire is, and I'm specifically talking home plate. That used to be my favorite place to be just because I could have like a rad strike 3 call or something. I was one of those funky guys.
You're one of the big guys.
Step back and you jab the catcher right in the back of the head. But, you know, they got to be consistent. And one of the hardest things to do that I felt when I was learning how to do that was to get in the exact same position. I had a guy from Visalia. I went through an ASA class that's softball, and I did fast pitch softball for a few years. And one of the things he used to tell me was, okay, you got to find the same spot every time. I was like, what do you mean the same spot? I got to move so I can stay comfortable. He goes, you're not comfortable. You're in there to make the same call every time. Every time you miss a call that you've made before, you failed because as an umpire, you need to be consistent. So if you're going to be consistent around the knee, then you need to be consistent around the knee. Call the lower half of the knee if that's what you're going to do, but do it every time. Don't think that it's the right time when it's 0-2 and the game's on the line. You need to do it all the time so that nobody is surprised by what you call. There's nothing worse to a coach than when you change what you've been calling all game just for one play. So I get it. But them walking behind the refs, oh man, that's gonna bite them in the butt. That is definitely gonna bite them in the butt. You know, I mean, it could get ugly for those guys before it gets pretty.
And it makes it even harder for me to watch because the Sox are my team. And this is Ortiz's last year. He's openly said he's leaving this year.
You're in the regular season.
Well, here's the thing. This guy's having a monster beginning to this season.
True.
I mean, he's going off home runs. Like, he just passed Carl Yastrzemski on the home run list for the Red Sox. I mean, he bombed 2 of them on Saturday night. Sunday night, because they lost 8-2 on Saturday. Sunday they won on ESPN. Of course, it's on TV. They had to come through. And then today they played the Athletics and won 14-2. I believe the score was. They went off. Jackie Bradley Jr. with a grand slam set it off. So and like you said, it's still early. I mean, that's the thing about baseball. 162 games.
Yeah.
Personally, I think the season needs to be cut shorter. I mean, it would generate more interest if it was cut shorter. I mean, and I'm not saying like don't. I'm saying start later. Like, don't push to the end. Like,
you could even spread the games out. I mean, some of these guys play double headers, or they play 2 nights in a row, or 3-game series in 3 days. I mean, you could spread it out and still cover the same amount of time.
Do you think that it's wise for them to have the series run into October while football is rolling in?
Well, and I think that's where
at the end of October, basketball is now, like, their preseason stuff's getting ready to get started. Like, that's a lot of stuff going on.
That's where they haven't figured it out yet. If I'm Goodell and is it Stern still?
For
the NBA commissioner?
Adam Silver.
Okay. So,
this guy, in 2 months, Adam Silver became more knowledgeable and more liked than David Stern.
That's funny. So, I mean, if I'm these guys, NHL, NFL, NBA, MLB, I get together with the other commissioners and say, look, this is my season, man. If you stay away from my peak of the season and I stay away from your peak of the season, we can make more money. We can both make more money. We can all make more money. But I found myself, because I've gotten more into basketball the last couple of years, I found myself during football season. My team's not on. I'm going to flip over to NBA and see how the NBA game's going. Football doesn't have me as glued anymore because...
And see, that's the thing about how they overlap, too. Like, basketball is, like, mid-season.
Yeah.
As football is rolling in. Like, the weekend of the Super Bowl happens, and then the following week or 2 weeks is the All-Star game for basketball, which is, after the All-Star break, it's the back half of the season. Yeah. So, I think a lot of people miss out on the NBA unless you're a diehard fan because you're still in football season. Even though your team's not in it, like, and I think we kind of all know this, I've heard this said before for sure, the Super Bowl has kind of become almost a national holiday.
Yeah.
I mean, even if your team's not in it, you're somewhere watching the game, barbecuing or drinking or something.
Going to Vegas.
Or going to Vegas. So I think that, like, they're missing out on some opportunities. Don't get me wrong. I know that the last time they had a collective bargaining agreement, they were arguing over almost $5 billion, so they're not hurting by any means. Yeah. But I think there's kind of some missed opportunities here and there about that situation,
yeah, for sure.
That to me, it makes
me wonder if they've even had that conversation.
I don't think so. I think people kind of look at baseball and go, that's America's pastime. That's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And then you look at football and go, well, football's been around forever. It's football. This is what the country loves. That's to be honest, from a revenue standpoint, here's what's funny. From a financial standpoint, baseball, all their money's guaranteed. David Price this year got signed by the Red Sox. $210 million for a pitcher. The dude only plays every 5 days as a starting pitcher.
If that.
If he's not hurt. Yeah. If there's no problems with rainouts or anything like that, right? $210 million. He's getting all of it. It don't matter if he walked out today, snapped his leg in half, and then said, I can never play baseball again. He's getting paid. Unless it's in his contract, which they generally don't do, he's getting all of that. But out of the 3 major sports in the United States, financially in collective bargaining agreements, there's not really a cap in baseball. There's, to my knowledge, there's not one.
No.
The NBA, like I said, their last CBA argued over $5 billion. Do you know, as big as an NFL fan, do you know how much they argued over?
No, if I remember right, it was like almost $1 trillion, wasn't it?
No. It wasn't even close.
Wasn't that like 800 million or something like that?
No. It was $9 billion. It was double what the NBA is.
Wow.
And for those of you who don't know what a CBA or collective bargaining agreement is, it's how they divvy up the money between the owners and the players. So
God knows the owners need more money.
yes, right. Everybody knows that Jerry Jones needs more money.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That's actually what cost me. I don't want to say cost me. That's what took my love for baseball away. Was that 92, 93 walkout.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't support guys that were making that kind of money and needed more. And the way they went about it to me was just wrong. If you wanted more money, okay, but I just didn't like the way they did it. And I was a bigger baseball fan than I was a football fan at the time. And they walked out, and I said, man, I can't support someone who needs to have more money like that.
Well, here's the thing about baseball. Baseball essentially promotes mediocrity with the way that you get paid. If you're a mediocre player, and let's say you get a $2 million deal from one team, and you start to have a bad season and they cut you, you're still getting $2 million. But then another team gets hurt with injuries and stuff, and they need to sign you. So they sign you to another $2 million deal for the rest of the season. Yeah. Now you're getting paid $4 million. You make it to the end of the year and they cut you. And you get signed by somebody else who saw that, hey, we like what he brought to the table. Yeah. Excuse me. We'll sign you to $4 million. Well, now you just doubled your pay being mediocre and bouncing around, but you still got paid in the millions.
Yeah.
You know, that's not what happens in football. Football, you're on the practice squad. You're making in the 100,000s. You're not making the millions if you're mediocre. You know.
Practice squad, a couple 100,000. I'll take that one.
Right. I'll do that. I think that's funny. That's the argument I've heard about, you know, guys that feel like they get too old. Is that like, oh, why is that guy still playing? Oh, I don't know. Brett Favre. I mean, come on. He made $25 million his last 2 years? Really? Like, people were like, oh, he's too old. He's not what. Well, you know what? Hey, for $25 million, I'll give it the old college try. You know, I'll see what I can do. I mean, everybody talks about Kobe. Oh, Kobe had 60 points. Yeah, the son of a bitch took 50 shots in his last game to get 60 points. It really wasn't all that impressive when you look at it from an analytical standpoint. To have 60 points and go out is awesome, and it's a credit to him as a player that they gave him the green light to just shoot. But on a level of being smart and as a fan of the Lakers, I would be pissed to know that he made the amount of money that he made in his last 2 years and the amount of time he played, because they could have got more valuable pieces to put around him as he dwindled away from injury and age. Because whether we like to admit it or not, Father Time is undefeated, and you cannot beat him ever.
Okay, dollar value for the NFL. You ready?
Yes.
$45 billion.
That's overall.
No, that's collected. That's what the NFL is worth.
Yeah.
$45 billion. That's ridiculous. How has society created something that's worth $45 billion? American society, not the world society.
No,
not yet. I mean,
they're trying.
They're going overseas.
Yeah,
they're doing it. But society's created a $45 billion product.
You know what's funny about that? Here's this. It's a $45 billion product. That's net worth, right?
That's net worth, yes.
Okay. The one sport that is global, I guarantee you is nowhere near that. In soccer.
Oh, soccer?
No, soccer.
Oh, soccer's got to be, man.
It can't. I guarantee you it doesn't.
Well, okay, soccer's not one entity, though.
But that's what I'm saying.
We're talking, I mean, when you start talking about soccer, you've got a couple of Mexican leagues, you got some European leagues, I think you got just a Major League Soccer.
You got a bunch.
Yes. You got a lot of entities that, that go around and do things like that. That's the problem with,
to me, it's oversaturated a lot like boxing.
Yeah, well, you say oversaturated, but from what I understand, I got some friends who are really into soccer, and I got into it for a little bit. And come World Cup time, I'm always,
That's odd, because you're Puerto Rican. That should be baseball for you.
Yeah, it should be, but it's not. These soccer entities, they kind of exist in their own little world. Like, if you watch Premier League, it's not the same as watching the Mexican League. It's not the same as watching MLS, Mm-hmm. They do it's a different style. Not to mention different fans, man. Those English people, they get crazy over there.
Oh, yeah.
Those European fans, they go nuts.
It's the way of life out there.
That's the way they are. That's the way they love to do it. I mean, it's pretty crazy. But what do you got? What kind of facts you got? World's most valuable soccer teams. There we go. So the 20 most valuable soccer teams in the world average 1.6. So about $20 billion for the Real Madrid is the most expensive at about $3.26 billion. Comparable to the Dallas Cowboys, who happen to be the most expensive or the most high value
yeah.
franchise at $4 billion. But they do make their money, and they play in stadiums that are bigger than usually the NFL too. Those 100,000 capacity stadiums a lot of the times. But again, society's created a monster with their infatuation to see other people. I would say in the NFL, it's just destroy each other, or to see abilities of what people regard as superhumans. You know, because some of these guys, we've talked about LeBron being just an athletic freak. You know, just being a guy who athletically is just beyond capabilities of your normal basketball, even your average NBA player. You know, I would have loved to have seen him play football. You don't know what he would have accomplished there. Of course, the shelf life is not quite for an NFL player what it is for an NBA player.
Right.
But again, you know, society's just, I want to see it, and I'll pay to see it. You know, I'll pay to see it. $45 billion. What kind of problems would that solve?
Okay, so let me ask you this then. Knowing that it's a $45 billion entity, how do you feel about how they take care of players post NFL, and whether it's health issues or just in general? Because as you know, for athletes, there's no pension for athletes like there is for a regular job.
We've had this discussion before. I'm not big on someone saying, you have to take care of me. Now, that's all relative in terms to what you do, okay? 1970s football players, I'd have to look it up because I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm imagining they were making money that was commensurate with their time.
Right.
So a 70s player made 70s money.
Right.
Now, I'm gonna relate that to people that I work with. There are people that I work with, okay? There's not many of them left because they're retiring like crazy. But there's a few left that when they were in the 70s working for who I work for, they made good money. You'll hear all the old timers say, I made good money when I got hired in the 70s, okay? Well, what did you do with your good money? 4 or 5 of them right now, as it stands today, are millionaires. They took the money that they made working for my company, and they were able to do what they needed to do with their money so that when they retire here now, 40 years later, they're living very well, okay? Now, if someone can do that on, I've heard the number before, I'm going to say it's $300, maybe $250 a week back in the 70s. It may have been more. It could have been more, but I'm going to say it was $250 to $300 a week. If a peon like us can do that, you're going to tell me an NFL player, everybody knows, we could go back to Joe Namath, we could go way back, we could go Bart Starr, we could go everywhere. I don't think anyone ever thought they were going to play football for 35 years. When I walked into my job, I was 23 years old. I knew the goal was to hit 35 so I could retire. That was my plan. If you took a football, baseball, any athletic sport, and said, I'm going to do this for 35 years, you were not thinking straight, or someone was lying to you.
Yeah, your body can't hold up.
Your body's not going to hold up, especially when you get to the contact sports.
Yeah.
Okay? So having said that, these guys that have, and don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound insensitive. I understand some of these older guys have some serious problems.
The name of this show is totally unprofessional. We don't give a shit about being insensitive.
Well, I'm not insensitive to this. This is just the logic that I explained. Some of these guys have some serious problems. Junior Seau committed suicide over what they believe was something wrong in his brain.
Right.
Was something wrong in his brain? Let me tell you something. If you've ever seen that guy hit someone in his prime, he blew people up. That's just what he did. Right. You know, he provided entertainment for people like me, who was a middle linebacker, a linebacker, that would just like to smash people. Okay? So I paid to watch. I bought a Sunday ticket. You know, I went to watch a game I watched 2 games in the 90s. So I was part of the contributor to his paycheck, so to say. Okay? These guys, though, they make a lot of money. And like we said, they know they're not going to play for 35 years. Yeah. I mean, we're watching Tom Brady. We just saw Peyton Manning retire on a long career. Tom Brady's probably got 4 to 5 years left the way he's playing if they can protect him better. Yeah. These are going to be some of the longer players probably in NFL history outside of kickers. Okay, Morton Anderson kicked till he was, I think, like 80 or something like that. I don't know. He was there for a long time. Yeah. So these guys have to know that, one, I'm getting paid a lot of money. Even in today's standards, they're making decent money if you're a decent player. Now, if you're, like we said, practice squad players only make a couple $100,000, and it's only for a couple of years. They know I got 4 or 5 years to collect some money, and then I got to start figuring stuff out. Right. If they're not planning, I'm sorry, nobody bailing me out of anything. Okay, they shouldn't get bailed out of it either. all right, they're taken care of while they are enrolled or while they're signed for a team. One of the bigger stories this last season, this is a very proud moment for me. One of the feel-good stories of this last season was how the Bengals re-signed Devon Still to help him keep his insurance. So they kept him on the practice squad for a little bit so his insurance wouldn't lapse. He managed to make it the whole season, and then he got released.
He actually made it up from the practice squad too, didn't he?
Yeah, and he played a couple of games. Okay, great feel-good story because the club did something for him. They wanted to keep him. They were hoping he was going to show more. It didn't pan out in the end, but I mean, his daughter's gone completely through chemo and what have you. So to say that they don't take care of them might not be accurate, but these guys got to think better. Average NFL salary probably around $1.5 million a year. $1 million a year. I'd have to look that up. Maybe Tech Guy will look that up for us. Average NFL salary, $1.5 million a year for 4 years. You're going to make $4.5 million of salary.
1.9.
1.9. Okay, so we're going to say $2 million. You're going to make $8 million over, let's call it 5 years, because your rookie contract is 5 years. Okay, and that's if you're low first round. We're not even going to say the big money guys. The big money guys, they have no excuse. I'm sorry. We haven't even gotten started on knowing the consequences of what you're getting into.
Yeah.
But these guys, their money they need to learn how to take care of their money. These guys coming out of college early, sophomores, juniors, they don't understand how to take care of money, much less life. You know, look at what Manziel's going through. You know.
Well, I think that a lot of that has to do with the idea of what we talked about a little bit with, like how you said, how is the NFL this $45 billion entity? Because it's no longer about just the sport.
Never has been.
It's about the entertainment value. It's about ratings. That's why certain games are on TV and certain games aren't. Mm-hmm. If it was about the sport, it wouldn't matter in that regard. Don't get me wrong, there are matchups that people prefer to see. Absolutely. There's a game of the week. There's a Monday night game. But when you own 3 days a week on television, and it's not just like local television, it's on cable television. Yeah. You have it all covered. And you look at these guys, like, the first thing you're doing is looking at a guy who's fresh out of college after 2 years going, I bet you this guy could come play for us. Now, during that 2 years, I only went to college for a few months, and it was a junior college. So, and I wasn't an athlete, but I can tell you from my experience, nobody when I went to and was headed in that direction, even in high school at the end, went, hey man, this is what you need to do when you go to college about managing this and that. Not one time did I ever talk to anybody who was going as an athlete that went, hey, there's a real possibility here that like you could make something out of this if you stick with it. One of my closest friends played football at COS, went on to play football in Oklahoma, saw some guys do some things. He actually played with somebody, a few guys at COS that wound up being All-Americans that transferred because they were academically ineligible or they had issues and they transferred to a JC for a year and then jumped back into Division I. Nobody told those guys, I guarantee you, nobody set those guys down and went, you have a special skill set and this is what comes with that. Whether it's the entourage, whether it's, whatever. So when these kids get into the NBA, NFL, and the professional sports level, there's one thing that you have to do. You have the gun. Don't give them the ammunition.
Yeah.
Now, I guarantee you that's easier said than done. You can't sit here and go, well, if it were me, you can't say that because I heard something very interesting to me on the radio the other day. And they were saying that when you're in a rich bracket of people, whether you're a billionaire, millionaire, whatever, everything's free to you because there's not a price tag that you can't afford. And people aren't used to being told no. Well, when you're somebody who comes from nothing or comes from a struggling background and suddenly you have the capability to not be told no, it's not easy to go, you know what, I don't need that. Because now you can have everything you ever dreamed of.
Yeah.
And guess what? You got friends that are close to you. You want to take care of them. You want to take care of family. And that's not counting the people that come out of the woodworks and claim their family.
Yeah.
Or that say, oh, hey, remember when, I did this for you? Like, can you do me a solid? I'm not talking about none of those people. I'm just talking about on an intermediate friend and family level. Hey, I'm going to pay for this, my nephew, my cousin to go to college. I'm going to pay for, my friends. They're now in my entourage. You now work for me now. You don't got to work ever again because you're with me. Shit like that. And that's not counting splurging on shit. Expensive cars, houses, jewelry that you don't need. All that other shit that people become obsessed with once they hit money. Like, it is far more than just a sport. And these young kids don't have a clue. That's why guys like Manziel, who went to Texas A&M and was king shit at Texas A&M.
Yeah.
They knew about the partying beforehand. He partied at Texas A&M. There was info about him partying. There was photos and videos of him partying, not only at A&M, but Texas University.
Yeah.
Somebody who's considered a in-state rival to that school.
Yeah.
And the NFL gets here and is like, I can't believe that this guy's still in trouble.
Yeah.
Like you just, not only, and in Manziel's case, he came from a family with money.
Yeah.
So then you push forward and go, guess what? Now it ain't mommy and daddy's money.
It's
now your money. So now not only are you not being told no, but you get to do whatever you want to do because it's your fucking money.
Yeah.
And people are still going, I don't get it. I don't get why he hasn't cleaned up his act. Really? The guy's never been told no. And anybody that's told him no, he's just went, fine, I'll pay for somebody that'll tell me yes.
Yeah.
I mean...
Well, you got to look at what they do for rookies now, too, though. They've changed a lot in the last few years. They actually have, I forget what it's called. It's a rookie something that they run through, the NFL runs through. And it's a program where they have guys come in who have gone through things and are still in the league. The only reason I know about it is because Adam Jones gave a speech one time at it. And, we all know Adam Jones' story when he was at the Cowboys and making it rain and stuff, So these guys, again, the money, I don't think the NFL should be forced to take care of them. I think the guys who make the big money are paid according to what the team believes they should make. Even the guys who make the little money. They know they're not going to be there forever. This whole sideshow of I came from nothing, now I have. That's all. I don't want to say it's secondary, but it really is because.
Do you feel like it's played out?
Yes, I do. And not only that, but now we'll go back to the beginning of this and say, okay, did you really think? We've talked about this before. Did you really think you were going to run full speed into another grown man, your size or bigger, and not have some kind of physical repercussion? I mean, if there was no physical repercussions to violent body behavior, how many of us would be punching walls on a daily basis? But we don't because we know we might break our hand or you might do something to your elbow or your shoulder. We don't run around doing stuff like that because it's not healthy. Now, I don't want to incite all the doctors and people who think that football should be outlawed because it does brain damage because, hey, it's still a choice. But these guys coming back trying to say, hey, you didn't tell me this could happen. Well, what did you think was going to happen? Yeah. I mean, did you really think you were going to do that? And let's say Sale had a long career.
Yeah.
For a middle linebacker, the guy played for a long time, So to think that he wasn't going to have some kind of negative mental brain issues or something like that, that's not reasonable. It's not feasible. And like I said, man, I felt terrible when I read that story. That guy provided a lot of entertainment to people. He was a real good guy on top of that. And then to have that happen to him makes you sit back and wonder, man, is football really worth it? And I'm sure a lot of guys had that gut check. Do I want to be the guy that happens to? His death is really the one that started opening eyes about the brain trauma, about what's going on in these guys' heads after they play. Yeah, So I'm sorry. I like I said, I don't want to sound like I'm insensitive because I'm not. I do feel bad for these guys that have these problems, but at the same time, it'll go back to anything. You can relate this to anything. If you're gonna smoke your whole life and then you come down with lung cancer, am I supposed to feel sorry for you because you got lung cancer? Well, you smoked cigarettes for 30 years. What did you think was going to happen? Yeah. You're a higher risk. You're not guaranteed, but you're a higher risk. You did drugs your whole life. Now you're clean for the last 8 months, and now something's wrong with your liver. Did you really think you couldn't have a consequence to doing that? Yeah. You're gonna reap the consequences of however you choose to live physically, whether it's drugs or football or whatever it is.
Yeah.
You don't get to escape. That's the Father Time thing. Father Time will catch up with all of us. Whether it's through our own personal vices, whatever you want to call them, or it's just, hey, I'm 90 and I'm gonna break my hip, or I'm 85 and my heart's starting to weaken. Whatever it is, Father Time's going to catch up with you. And if you've helped him along a little bit, it's even worse.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be more going on than just Father Time. You know, everything's going to take its toll on you. I feel terrible for these guys, but to say that the NFL's at fault, I don't believe it. I'm not willing to stand on that soapbox and say, yeah, NFL, you should pay for it. You know, so don't sit here and try to tell me the NFL needs to pay for it. I think they've gone above and beyond paying money into that settlement that they had. I don't think they had to do it, but I think that they knew it was what was right to help these guys, to help some of these guys that did need help that they couldn't get anymore because whether it wasn't they didn't have money or whatever it was. I think they stepped out when they didn't have to. That speaks big for them. Yes, they're trying to save their image. It's not some big-hearted corporation, you know. Yeah. It wasn't some kind of charitable cause. It was we need to take some of this heat off of us and pay them off. That's what that was. Yeah. But at the same time, they could have probably stood up and won this argument that, wait a minute, were you compensated for what you did with your time? Whether it was the 70s, 80s, 90s,
well, I think that goes back to what we were talking about. It was last week or 2 weeks ago about things being soft.
Yeah.
And about understanding that, I don't want to run over the middle because I'm going to get hurt, or I don't want a free safety coming in, flying in. I'm all for safety. Don't get me wrong. Like, I want to see guys be able to play long careers and do well and provide for their family. I'd give my left nut to be able to play a game for a living. People, you don't understand. They're practicing. They're watching film. No, I do. I would love to not work an 8 to 5 type job or get up as early as I do for the company that I work for and play a sport that I enjoy playing. Now I understand there's a lot of radical outside stuff that comes with that. But at the end of the day, the brass tacks of it is that you're playing a game for a living. So stop bitching.
Oh, yeah.
You made a choice. Given the skill set that you have, could you sit here and say, I wasn't going to deny that, I'm a better athlete than I? Sure, maybe, but you made a choice. You made a choice to choose that path. You could have, and because the NFL's rules, you have to go to college.
Yeah.
There's no way around that. It's not like the NBA where you only have to be a year. You can go overseas and not play, and then come back and go, I'm a year out now. Now I can play, right? And they'll allow it. The NFL makes you go to college. So you have a choice. You can get your degree. You can do those things and go a different route. But you're choosing to take on that physicality. And to me, as you said, do you want to see people get hurt? No. But if people get hurt and go, I don't want to do that no more, then what the fuck are you playing for?
Yeah.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know what it is.
What's that movie? He Got Game, I think, is where he had that college student or that college recruiter telling him, you're going to make millions of dollars in the pros, but you need an education to teach you how to manage that money. I think college does more than give you an education to how to manage the money. I think it matures you. And I think it helps you to understand what you're capable of physically. A lot of these guys come out sophomore year. They're 20 years old. Some of them 19, maybe 21, 22, the oldest. They still don't understand that I don't want to say they're not done growing, but their physical limitations are still not understood yet, There's a big consequence to not understanding what you're capable of physically. You put yourself in front of somebody twice your size and think, I'm okay, but your mind hasn't grown to the point where, hey, this is probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
You get to be a senior, now you're older, you're on the floor, you're like, okay, I need to stay away from that guy. That guy's gonna cream me if I stay hit in the pocket too long, or if I roll that way, man, this linebacker might. There's more that comes with that, with staying in school. So I wish they would make them stay in 4 years, but that's,
To me, that's the worst thing about the NBA. Like, I love seeing guys that are, like, freak athletes, but guys like LeBron, guys like Kobe, guys like Kevin Garnett, those guys aren't what comes out of high school anymore.
No.
I'm sorry, they're not. Like KG was the first guy to come out of high school. 5th pick of his class. Dude, if you look at him, you can find him on YouTube, you can Google him. If you look at him when he came into the league, that guy was a rail. He was a rail.
Yeah.
I mean, and he was considered like a solid. Like, he was a great guy. You're not going to get guys like him, guys like Kobe. Kobe came off the bench. KG came off the bench. LeBron was a once-in-a-lifetime freak athlete.
Oh, yeah.
That just happened to come in and be like, this guy's with us. But he had to learn,
Yeah.
Just like the rest of them, he had to learn. So, I mean, I think that the NBA needs to push to them, staying longer because these one and done guys are only hurting the basketball programs in college.
Yeah.
Because now guys aren't looking for the best education or the best basketball program they can go for. They're looking at the fastest way into the league.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. As much as I'm a huge fan of John Calipari, getting to meet him and everything else from getting to do some basketball clinics, it just, to me, like, he's the go-to guy that you look at and go in college going, I'll go to Kentucky because I know I can get there. They have a bunch of guys that have gone over and over and over again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they're going to have a shit ton more coming up with the draft coming up here pretty soon.
Yeah.
It's going to be ridiculous.
Speaking of basketball, I heard there was an interesting interview on, I think it was last night. I want to say it was last night. They were interviewing Muggsy, and they were talking about the greatest high school class ever. And you know who Muggsy is, right?
Muggsy Bogues.
Yeah.
Used to play for the Charlotte Hornets,
Yeah.
the original Charlotte Hornets.
I guess his high school class, there were actually 4 of them that got drafted. 3 of them in the first round in NBA. When they left, when they left college. But the 4 of them, they won a state title that year. They were like 31-1 or 33-1 or something in high school. And I thought that was interesting.
Speaking of that, winning state titles and stuff in high school as a great class. The year that I graduated in 2006, the high school in Fresno, San Joaquin Memorial, Brooke and Robin Lopez, both still in the league. Quincy Pondexter plays for the Memphis Grizzlies. They all 3 were on the same team in high school at San Joaquin Memorial. Same class as me. I actually met the Lopez twins at Disneyland for grad night. It was grad night.
That's funny.
That's how I met them. They had a huge surrounding around them because they both wound up going to Stanford. Quincy Pondexter wound up going to Washington.
Yeah.
Pondexter played all 4 years at Washington. The Lopez twins left after 2 years. They were a huge deal. They never won Valley.
Yeah.
As a team, like, forget state, they never won Valley.
They never won a
like,
local
they
title.
never won a
Section
local
title.
Yeah. So that to me was funny that you brought that up. That those guys were in my age group and neither one of them or none of them wound up winning a Valley title, but they went on to be in the league. The Lopez twins went 10-15 in the draft. They went number 10 and number 15.
Oh wow.
Robin was drafted by the Suns, and Brooke was drafted by the Nets. Robin's been a Net his entire career.
Yeah.
He's made some big money. Had some foot injury issues, but he's made some money. And to me, he's one of the last big men in the league that's a legit big man. Robin is now a Knick. He played for the Blazers last year, and then he's bounced around a little bit. He played for the Pelicans. He's played for the Blazers, and now he's a Knick in New York.
See, as long as you're on somebody's bench,
yeah,
you're
exactly.
okay, man.
And if you can't tell them apart, Robin has the sideshow Bob curly hair. Brooke shaves his head usually, and then Quincy is a Pelican now. He used to be a Memphis Grizzly, and now he's a Pelican.
I was scanning through Facebook today, just random subject. I was scanning through Facebook today, and we got presidential stuff going on right now, Republicans, Democrats, and if you're wondering, I don't know who I'm going to vote for. I'm hoping I don't have to vote. Maybe we'll go into anarchy or something. I don't know. But I find it interesting that both sides are able to bash the other candidate without stating something good about their own candidate. This is how you know we are screwed, okay? I don't associate with either party. I choose not to. I try to find someone who I think will have the best interests of the country in hand, but it's proving that they're getting less and less qualified as we get older. But I just think it's funny. You watch these videos on Facebook, you watch them on Instagram, these news reports. It's funny, like anytime they show like a Trump rally, the Democrats are bashing Trump supporters. Anytime they show a Democrat rally, there's some kind of Trump supporters. It goes both ways. It's comical to me. And I was telling the guy at work today, one of the saddest parts about this presidential election coming to an end is the memes that are going to stop coming out. You know, the memes that are coming out are just awesome. I'm a huge meme fan. I got a meme generator on my phone in case I run across a picture of a family member or something, so I can generate that thing up and get it out there. You know, I'm a real big meme fan. And these memes that they're coming out with Trump and Hillary and Sanders, I mean, they're just awesome. They're just awesome. The Ted Cruz ones, they're awesome. Jeez. But I was watching just this one clip, and you know, they're getting violent. Well, one side is getting violent. I'm not going to say which side with which. If you watch the videos, you'll see, you know who's mostly getting violent with. Well, I don't want to say who's getting violent with who, but you know who's getting more post of violence. Because you know it's happening both sides. Mm-hmm. You know it's going both ways. But they're arguing back and forth. And the funniest part to me is that neither side, everybody that they choose to film, and we know it's all media screening and stuff like that. Right. Everybody they choose to film has no coherent thought to say. Does not have anything to put together outside of a few cuss words, calling someone a race baiter or a racist. Jeez. Or it's a train wreck. And you have to stop and look at it. You know, if you're my age and you're in your late 30s right now, and you're going, what in the world is going on? Treasure these days, because I don't think America will ever look more stupid than we look right now. It's ridiculous how idiotic America. Can you imagine what we look like to the rest of the world right now? I mean, there's this perception of this place already that's not real good in some places of the world. But holy shit, will you guys pull your heads out of your butt and look like you can make sense of things going on around you? All everybody wants to do right now is fight. Fight. Hey, there's some important things going on here, like a presidential election. I don't know. You know, it's ridiculous. And I have never asked you if you're voting. I hope you're going to vote, but I wouldn't encourage you to vote this time because I don't know if it's going to make a difference. But my favorite meme, okay, straight up, there's two of them, and they both have to do with Hillary. I'm sorry, Hillary supporters, but I thought this was the funniest thing in the world. The first one has a picture of Hillary, and she's got her hand underneath her chin, and she's like thinking, and it says, so if I sit in the same desk that Bill sit, will Monica be under the desk there for me? I thought that was hilarious. It's awesome, right? The other one, oh man, now they're gonna start all coming to my head. The other one is a picture of Bill, and he's got a big old smile, and he's got like his hands in the air, and he's celebrating, and it says, if Hillary gets elected, I get interns again.
Fair enough.
It's awesome. Like I said, the memes are just ridiculous right now, and like I said, we gotta look like the biggest bunch of clowns to the world right now because nothing's going right here. It's funny, and I encourage, when I run across younger people, I encourage them to educate themselves. I don't tell them vote Democrat or vote Republican or vote Trump or vote Hillary. I don't say that because I'm a big believer in telling people they should investigate for themselves. You really need to. Don't take someone's word for it. Just because I say Trump's a good candidate, you shouldn't take my word for it. Don't trust me. Go trust what your eyes can find and what your mind, deciphers at the end of it. Don't take my word for it. If I say Hillary's a good candidate, don't go vote for Hillary just because you're a woman or whatever. Because I've seen some ridiculous posts out there.
Oh, I'm sure.
But, you encourage the young people to educate themselves because that's obviously not happening. One of the great things about having Janessa in college is hearing some of these thoughts from some of these young people, 19, 20, 21, maybe 22, the oldest. The thought process is, yeah, everything's free. I got news for you, kid. Not everything's free. Well, Bernie Sanders is going to make everything free. I said, and who do you think is going to pay for that free thing? Well, the government. And where does the government get their money? Well, taxes. And where do taxes come from? From the people. So again, who's paying for it? Bernie is.
No.
The logic is just investigate for yourselves. Okay, that's not a pro or con free college post. Yeah. Snap. That's just to investigate. Investigate. If you're out there and you're politically confused, which most people are right now, investigate a little bit. I really, really encourage you to do that. It's not difficult. Don't go to Hillary.com because you're going to get Hillary stuff. Don't go to Trump.com because you're going to get Trump stuff. And sadly, even certain news channels, they're biased towards one or the other. But for every one Hillary video you watch a Trump one. For every Trump one you watch a Hillary one. Yeah, be open-minded and listen. Don't just hear something that pisses you off and then shut it out. You don't want to do that. That's my rant because I'm older and politics are a little bit more important to me because I'm going to be old and I'll be damned if I want this generation of kids below me thinking, hey, old man, it's your turn to give up your retirement because we're taking care of you. No, I I want a generation of smart kids below me that are making this place better, not making it worse.
And again, this podcast is whatever we want it to be.
Yeah.
And generally it is sports, but there's no denying the fact that there's a presidential race going on. And you're going to hear that shit from time to time. Because like we said, we can pretty much check with the boss to make sure. Wait, hold on. Yeah, we're the boss.
We're the bosses.
We're the bosses. So we can talk about whatever we want, whether you agree with politics or don't. Me personally, you notice I didn't say very much during that because I have my own opinions about politics in general, and I'd rather keep them to myself. So that's just me.
And just so we're clear, none of those were actually my opinions. I won't share my political opinion.
Yeah.
I'm a big believer. There's two things you don't do with friends: is talk politics or religion. Especially if you know that there's a difference in religion or politics, because it just causes a fight. I almost had a fight with my mom yesterday over politics on Mother's Day.
I was just saying, how do you do that on Mother's Day?
And again,
shout out to all the Mother's Day late.
Yeah, if you're a mother, or I read something on Facebook. If you're nurturing, if you're a nurturer.
No, there was a post on Instagram I saw yesterday that said, shout out to all the mothers. Thank you for everything you do. And to all you bitches that just have kids, step your game up, because there's a difference.
That's actually a good one.
Now, we promised part 2 of the Vegas story.
Trip. The Vegas trip.
Of the Vegas story. How are we on time?
60 minutes.
Perfect.
Okay, just enough time.
Perfect.
That'll work.
All right, so where we left off on Friday was the first night of the second Vegas trip, where you had gone and did the dog and pony show for golf, and it was the next morning you coming in.
So just briefly recap, I went to a hosted party for returning champions. I was not enrolled in anything that weekend, but all returning champions were invited, so I made a phone call to see if one of my friends from the tour was going. He said, yes, I'm going. I said, okay, I'll meet you there. He said, call up, they'll send a limo for you. I was like, sweet. They sent a limo out for me. I told the guys, all right, man, I should be back either late tonight or first thing in the morning. I'm not sure. If I don't call, don't worry. I'm probably just in the room asleep. So they're like, okay, that's fine. So I get in the limo, picks me up, takes me out there. It was a good little reception, good little soiree. They had food, they had drinks. So of course, everything's free. I'm trying to control my drinking because I kind of wanted to get back. I was like, I don't want to leave my boys out there alone. Plus, I think it was the first time the three of them had met each other.
I actually knew Fernie from high school because he was one of the coaches.
The coaches, okay.
When I played football. But then later on, like after I graduated, I had seen him around because he helped around and stuff. So we were cool. That was the first time I met Louis though, because he worked with you.
Yeah. So I'm the common denominator in this. So it was like I didn't want to leave my boys alone. So I was really trying to control it. But my friend from the tour, he keeps bringing me drinks, and I get to the point where I'm not drunk. I've got a little bit of a head change going. I'm like, okay, I'm enjoying myself. Just kind of people watching. That's the best thing to do in Vegas is people watch. I swear it is.
That and lights.
Lights. The lights after a few beers. So I'm about ready to go to bed. I don't remember what time it was, but I'm feeling it. I'm like, hey, dude, I'm going to go home. He's like, no, just crash in my room, man. You can take the limo in the morning. And I was like, all right, man, where's your room? Give me your key. So he gives me a key. I go upstairs to the room. I go in. There's 2 beds. I was like, oh, thank God. I go and I crash on the bed. I don't know how, but I woke up on the floor. Something woke me up. I don't remember what the noise sounded like, but I know a noise woke me up. So I sat up and I'm looking around. I'm like, I can see the light coming in from the shades. I'm like, oh man, I hope it's not like 1 PM or something, because we were supposed to go to the fight.
Right.
I'm like,
we had plans.
Yeah, we had plans that afternoon. So, I reach over, grab my phone. It was only like 6 o'clock, I think, or 6:30. And I hear a noise again, and I'm like, my eyes are still getting used to the darkness. I'm looking around, and I'm like, man, what's going on in here? I notice as I'm panning around the room, there's bodies everywhere. There's people passed out. I'm going, man, this is crazy. What the heck happened in here? So as I'm scanning the room, I'm going across, and I see the silhouettes. And I'm like, what the hell is that? My eyes start to fix a little bit more. Turns out my boy was hammering his girlfriend about 5 yards away from me on the floor.
You're trying to chip off 18. Saw 2 bikers having sex.
I'm like, hey, dude, what's going on? And he's like, oh, bro, I'm almost done. Hold on. I was like, you know what? You do what you got to do. I'm out of here. Grabbed my shoes, because I fell asleep with all my clothes on. Grabbed my shoes. Didn't even think to shake his hand. Walked out.
Well, I hope not.
Yeah. No, I should have high-fived him, which is what I should have done. I'm walking out. I tell the desk person, hey, can you get the limo? And he's like, yeah, Dave's already out there. People have already been. I was like, okay, jump in, get back. as I walk in the door back at we're at Luxor, right?
Now, mind you, this is where I can tell you exactly what time it was because you woke me up, and we had been out at a club checking everything out. Which, to recap, where we were on Friday night, we went out to a club that wasn't great. The music was so-so. The crowd wasn't very big, and it sucked. But we stayed there and we drank. By the time we got in, it was almost or after 4, and we crashed. We just straight up crashed. And for whatever reason, that there was 3 of us, and I don't really remember how it worked out. But what I do know is Louie, if you're listening to this, or Fernie, if you're listening to this, you two wound up in the same bed that night, and I had the bed to myself. I'm not saying there was any shenanigans. I'm just saying they shared the bed, and I got my own. Now, we're dead asleep, and the shades are closed and everything else, and I hear a boo-boo, which, if you've ever stayed in a hotel of any type, you know how heavy the doors are. And they don't close lightly.
No.
And that was the sound that woke me up. And I was laying there, and I'm like, what the heck? And then I open my eyes, I look over, and there's Manny. And he's just like, dude, no, dude. I'm like, what the hell? I'm like, dude, we just went to bed 2 hours ago. It's 6:30. I'm like, what are you doing awake? And he's just like, I just got back. I always wake up early, you know that. I had to leave. I'm like, I had to leave? What? And he goes, I left my phone charger. I grabbed my shoes. I had all my clothes on. But I left my phone charger. I was like, why did you leave in such a rush? There was bodies everywhere. And when I finally realized what was going on, 2 people were having sex. I had to leave. And I was just like, what the hell? Where were you last night? What kind of golf party is this? Bodies laying everywhere, 2 naked people having sex? What the hell? So I go back to sleep. And then we get up, everybody gets up.
Well, no, you went back to sleep and Fernie woke up.
Oh, okay.
Fernie woke up, took a shower, and us being the old men that we are, we go to bed late, we wake up early. We wake up, we went and had steak and eggs over at, not Hard Rock, the Blues House.
House of Blues.
House of Blues. And great steak and egg breakfast, by the way. That is a plug for them because it is phenomenal in the mornings. It's great for a hangover if you got a hangover.
I would say when one of the other trips we took, you had steak and eggs and a Bloody Mary.
Yeah. So yeah, me and Fernie go down. We're walking out, and he says, should we wake up the kids? Because Louie and Justin are both younger than us. So he goes, should we wake up the kids? I said, nah, let them sleep. They're going to need their energy for later. So we get back. We take off. We eat breakfast, hit the slot machines and tables. I won another $500. Okay, so back to the beginning a little bit. When I left here, when I left home, I think I took $200 or $300. And no intent on gambling at all. I just wanted to have money to eat and maybe a souvenir or something. That's what I was looking for, maybe 1 or 2 souvenirs. So we stopped. When we got to Luxor, I waited about 20 minutes downstairs for the limo to pick me up. I had won $400. And then that next morning, me and Fernie were on our way back. I won $5. Then we go back upstairs, and these guys are finally starting to move around a little bit.
So from there, we got up, got around. We went and we're walking around. We're like, hey, we're going to go down the strip a little ways. You guys are like, hey, we already ate, so we're going to go down a little ways. So we went off and ate. We went to, where was it? It was someplace inside the Cosmo is where we were. There was some place where they had alcohol in the milkshakes and stuff like that, and we went and had because by the time we got up it was 11, 12 o'clock, so we had lunch food. We went and ate, and then we met up with you guys.
Yeah,
you guys were on the old side of the street.
We were at Bally's.
Yeah,
we were at Bally's because Fernie.
There was somewhere else too that you guys went.
There was another. I don't remember. He said they had stayed at Bally's last time they were there. He's like, they got $5 blackjack. I said, do I look like I need to play $5 blackjack? Man, I had been winning. I think by that point I was probably up $1,100 or $1,200 or something like that to that point. And it's funny because from that point on, and this is definitely how I like to roll when I'm winning, nobody paid for anything the rest of the night. The rest of the trip, I was pretty much paying for everything.
All the meals.
Not because I was feeling generous, but because we were playing on the house's money at that point.
Yeah.
So it was the casinos paying for everything at that point. So it was and I remember Louis kept telling me, hey man, how much money did you bring? Yeah. It's not what I brought, it's what I've won. Every time I won money, it was let's go.
Everybody pull out their wallet. We'll leave the tip then.
Yeah.
What? So then we went and we gambled and drank a little bit more and kind of hung out, ran around a little bit. And then we went back to the hotel to get ready for the fights.
Yeah.
That fight was... Oh, I take that back. As we were walking back through the casino to go get ready, we decided to place bets on the fight.
Oh, that's right.
And,
yeah. We went to Mandalay for that.
Yes.
The Mandalay Sportsbook, yeah.
A couple people placed like individual bets here and there, stuff like that. We saw some guys placing some bets. I was like, you know what? I'm going to put down sports bets. I've put down sports bets before, but I've never played a parlay. And in case you don't know what a parlay is, that's where you put at least 2 to 3 games, if not more, together, and they all have to hit for you to win.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the fight card. I'm like, okay, I bet you we can make something happen here. So I take Miesha Tate, I take Thiago Alvarez, and on Louis' advice, I take Tim Bosch. When what I should have done was taken a favorite, because Miesha Tate and Thiago Alvarez were both underdogs on that card. What I should have done was taken a favorite, which would have been Anderson Silva, because him and Nick Diaz were the main event.
Yeah.
Or taken Tyrone Woodley.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I listened to Louis. Louis like, he's got a great stand-up. As long as he doesn't go to the ground, the guy is fine. I'm like, okay. So I take him and parlay the bet. It was a $50 bet that would have paid $1,500
if it hits.
If it hits. So we go back, we get dressed, we go to the fights. Now, mind you, the fights were at the MGM Gardens Arena. At this particular time, we were sitting second row from the top.
Yeah.
There's not a bad seat in that place.
No.
As much as we were like, oh, we're at the top, like, it was still great.
Yeah.
And they have a pretty good policy. Like, if you're down, like, in between the rows and in between the chairs, that they'll let you stand there as long as you're not in the way.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. We took turns getting beers, and then the main card starts, and we're watching, and everything starts rolling. Well, first girl out the gate, Miesha Tate, in my parlay, is getting her ass beat in the first round.
That's right.
She's getting her ass beat, and I'm like, oh, man. Well, then all of a sudden, she starts making a comeback. And I'm like, oh, dude. She winds up coming all the way back and winning by decision. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's one. Well, then the Thiago Alvarez fight was right after.
Yeah.
And he winds up in the first round, he gets rocked a little bit. And in the second round, he runs and nails a knee straight into this dude's head that stops the fight straight. Yeah. Now I'm excited because 2 out of the 3 have already hit, and all I need is 1. Do I know very much about this guy? No. But I took Louis' advice, and if Louis hits me here, it's money, right? Well, there were some Middle Eastern dudes who were there in like nice clothes, who were partying, having a good time. They were younger cats. Yeah. Well, they start hearing us start chirping about me in that parlay. Now they're rooting for Tim Bosch while this is going on. First round comes up. Bosch comes out the gate strong with his stand-up. Starts beating the shit out of this guy. He has him on the ground and pound, letting him fly, and the referee won't stop the fight.
Yeah.
And we got like 15 seconds before the round's over, and he's just going. Finally, the round's over, and he wouldn't stop the fight.
And he's gassed.
And it's like, please tell me he didn't just, empty the tank by letting these punches go. Second round comes out. He's okay. Throws some jabs. Throws an overhand that catches the guy. The guy gets pissed and gets tired of getting hit in the face and takes him down. What did Louis tell me? As long as it doesn't go to the ground, you're fine. It went to the ground. It did not last long. The dude gets choked out in a head and arm triangle choke.
Yeah.
And it was over.
That was all she
I missed a $1,500 payout thanks to Louis' advice. So we finished watching the fights, and the Silva Diaz fight, to be fair, wasn't great.
No.
It was entertaining from the fact that they were talking shit to each other, and Diaz laid on the ground a couple times. But it was not the Anderson Silva that everybody was thinking they were going to see. And to be fair, Diaz wasn't really all that impressive either.
Not at all.
We finished. The fights were over. By the time the fights were over, we got back to our hotel. It was like 12, and everyone's like, "We're gonna do anything? Super Bowl's tomorrow."
Yeah.
We'll call it tonight.
And we had bought the primary reason we went this weekend was to be at the Super Bowl party at Tao.
No, it was at Marquee.
Marquee.
It was at Marquee.
That was the primary reason we went for that weekend. The fight just happened to be.
It was the first year that Marquee had put on
the Super Bowl party.
Which is also in the Cosmo. It's their club, one of their clubs.
Yeah.
And
it's on the roof.
And you had actually done some research about like where we were going to watch the game and stuff, and that one was reasonable. I think it was like $125 a person.
All you can eat food for the first half. They had filet mignon,
chicken wings, fresh fruit.
Boneless wings, fruit. I mean,
it was the whole 9.
Easily, that could have been
free alcohol
till halftime. That could have been a $300 ticket, and nobody would have complained about it. But I think, I want to say we paid $125.
It was $125 a head, I believe.
I mean, it was simple. So we all go to bed.
So yeah, we called it that night. Then we got up early. Yeah. And we went straight there to get our bracelets.
Yeah, that's right. And then they let us in when they found out we were prepaid.
Yeah, so that was funny because we went over there. We're like, hey, we already paid for our tickets. And they were like, so you're good. We'll give you a Snap-on bracelet. Okay, cool. We get these Snap-on bracelets. And they're like, you got to go upstairs.
Yeah.
We're like, what? They're upstairs. Well, obviously, you know that the game doesn't start till 3:30.
Yeah.
Give or take. Fernie went and put some prop bets on Katy Perry, who was the halftime performer, about what color her hair was going to be, what song she was going to perform first, and something else. And he actually hit on 2 out of 3.
Color hair.
And this first song that she
sang.
sang.
Yeah.
So that was pretty funny. But they send us upstairs, and there's a line that's growing rapidly. And me and Louie are already up there. We're waiting on you and Fernie because he went to place those bets. And we're like, hey, get up here. We got bracelets. Those people don't behind us. All of a sudden, the dude at the door goes, if you got a bracelet, get your ass up here. If you don't, you might not get in.
Yeah.
So we're laughing like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
We run into some people that I have no idea who they were. They didn't know us. We didn't know them. But they start chit-chatting back and forth with us. We get inside, and we see the spread.
Yeah.
And it's sick.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, it was wicked.
Yeah.
Everything on there, it was straight up madness. So everything's like cool. Everybody's watching the game. Long benches, couches, swimming pools. But at that time when we went, it was overcast that day. So people they covered
all
the rooftop because they were worried about the rain. And I mean, it was a sweet setup.
Yeah. Oh,
and because we're smart thinking gentlemen, the beer was free till halftime, but then when they realized how much beer they were getting rid of, then they were like, hey, we got to put like a two beer max on each person. So we just rotated going, hey, I need 2. Hey, I need 2. So by the time halftime came and they cut us off, we had about a 20-pack sitting underneath the table.
No. Fernie's got pictures of this. Okay?
Oh, really?
It's more than 20. We had a 6 by 2.5 table in front of us. Okay, and it had a lower level. Mm-hmm. We had that whole lower level full of beer. There had to have been between 30 and 40 Bud Lights sitting under that table waiting to be drank because we knew they were going to cut us off at halftime.
So we make sure we hit food before halftime's over, and everybody's got food in them. We're drinking. Well, then, all being grown-ass men, and as Mayo said, he's not small. Fernie's not a small guy. Yeah. Louie's the smallest of the 3.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not big and like bulky, but I'm tall. I have long legs. And at that time, we were in the peak of working out. Yeah. So at that time, I was pretty stout. So we're sitting on this couch. Well, not all 4 of us are going to fit on this damn couch. Well, Fernie is 3 sheets to the wind at this point. And he sees this guy wearing a Raider jacket. And he's like, dude, Raiders. And the guy's like, oh, he sees him. He's like, yeah, like hammered. So the guy walks up to him and they start talking. And I look at Manuel like, hey, like we might need to keep an eye on this dude. Manuel's like, they're fine. They're both drinking. So then all of a sudden, like, Fernie introduces us to this guy. Yeah. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? So then the guy turns around and in clear audio, we're within earshot of this dude. He turns around and looks at Fernie and goes, hey, you got kids? And Fernie's like, yeah. He's like, check this out. The guy reaches into his wallet. I'm like, what the hell is this dude about to pull out? He's asking about kids. He pulls out this card, and it's an ID, and he goes, bam, right in front of Fernie's face. The dude worked at Disneyland. Told Fernie, hey, I'll hook you up, bro. You got kids? I'll hook you up. So Fernie networks with like all these drunk people that are in the area.
He was working it.
So then, because he's standing up, the area he was sitting on behind us, which was like a cement sitting of a fake tree, opens up. And these chicks are walking in. There's like 3 women who are way overdressed. And they show up and they're like looking down the rows for somewhere to sit. Can't find nowhere. I hear some guy go, hey, you can sit over here, sweetheart, and points at his lap. They're like, I'll pass. So then they find out that cement spot behind us is wide open. Well, they sit there. And Fernie had his jacket there.
Yeah. She sat right on his jacket.
She just sits down. There's 3 of them. They just sit down. One of them sits on the jacket. So then, like, they're sitting there, and he just comes walking back hammered, and he's like, what the hell? He's like, who are you guys? Like, you guys got to move. They're like, nope, not moving. So they go through this whole back and forth banner about how they're not going to move. So I stand up. I tell Fernie, hey, bro, you can just sit down on the couch. Like, I'll stand. It's cool. He's like, that's not the point. It's not about sitting down. Like, these bitches, and he used the word bitches, came here and swiped my spot and sat on my fucking jacket. And I'm like, oh, man. Like, and by this time, he's getting a little louder. Yeah. It's going a little bit back and forth. So security comes walking up. And security was not a little dude.
No, he made me look like a midget.
He was a big dude. And he comes walking up, and he's like, is everything all right? And I was like, yeah, my friend's been drinking. And, like, these girls came and just, like, sat down. And I go, so they've been bantering back and forth. And he's like, okay. He doesn't really, like, read too much into it. A few more minutes goes by. Fernie starts talking shit to these girls. Now he comes back, which is where he talked to you the second time.
Well, he talked to me, and then he asked me, he goes, hey, man, is your boy all right? I said, he's fine. He's just pissed off that broad won't get off his jacket. Off his jacket, I go, dude, they rolled up. They sat down right on his jacket. It'd have been one thing if they chucked his jacket to the side and sat down. We might be okay. But she won't get off his jacket. He just wants his jacket. And he's looking at me and he's like, which one's sitting on his jacket? I go, if you can't see it, obviously it's the biggest one, bro. And he starts laughing. He goes, let me go see what I can do. So he walks over to him and he tells her to get up. She's giving him lip now. Now here's the problem. He came over to talk to us and we didn't get loud or defensive. We were just like, sorry, we'll get our guy under control.
We were worried we were going to get kicked out of there.
We were going to get kicked out. So, we're on the up and up with this guy. Well, this guy walks over to the girls and they're starting to feisty with him. So he threatens to throw him out, so they stand up. Well, right when that one girl stands up, there's Fernie's jacket. He grabs the jacket, and he just looks at him, shakes his head, and he walks over, and he tells me, here's your boy's jacket. I hope it's not ripped, man. I'm sorry about that. If they give you any lip, you just be telling me, and I'll get him out there. And I'm like, hey, man, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Hand him a $20 bill. Thanks a lot, bro. And he's like, yeah, bitches be acting basic and shit. And I said, what'd you say? He's like, bitches be acting basic. I was like, whoa, security guards just capping on these bros. Are you serious? I was like, wow, okay, thanks a lot, man, thanks. And so, finally we calm Fernie down, we sit him down and give him a beer.
He gets set down.
We're working on all those beers under there. I couldn't tell you what part of the game this was.
This was like, I from what I remember, this was like late third quarter, beginning of the fourth, by the time we calmed him down.
Okay.
And I remember him going, no, it's fine. And her going, bro, you need to sit down. And he goes, these bitches aren't even good looking. Fuck.
That's right, I remember.
And I remember looking at him going, God damn it, Fernie, sit down. And he's like, nah, bro, like, it's cool. Like, hey, we're good. I'm good. But these ugly ass bitches need to chill. And I'm just like, oh, man.
Thought for sure those girls were going to start swinging on us.
Right? So we keep drinking. Everything's cool. We keep drinking. So then the game finishes. And, of course, it's the Patriots-Seahawks game, which was they didn't hand it off to win the game. They throw it. The Patriots pick it. Game's over.
Yeah.
3 dudes wearing Tom Brady jerseys, jumping pools. Bam, bam, bam. One right after another. So we start filing out a marquee. And we're like, well, what are we going to do? The game's over. It's still kind of early. It's only like 8:30, 9 o'clock by this time when the game's over. So what are we going to do? We take a stroll. Start walking down the strip. We walk down to Planet Hollywood. Now, I remember all of this. I still remember all of this.
Funny, I don't remember most of the game, but I do remember all of this too.
So we go to Planet Hollywood, we walk up, and I see a sign for one of the bars. It's like right there, right when you walk in, and it says beer pong. I looked over at Manuel and I said, when was the last time you played beer pong? And he goes, shit, I can't remember. I said, then we're playing. I look at Louis.
Well, they were saying beer pong tournament is what he said. Yeah.
And I look at Louis, I said, are you in? He goes, hell yeah, I'm in. I look at Fernie, I'm like, he's in. We don't even got to ask him. So we take off walking to go inside, and the lady's like, we got to clean up a little bit because we had a Super Bowl viewing party here. So give us like 30 minutes. Okay, fine. We walk off, and we find this store, and it's got all kinds of memorabilia.
Well, they had stuff in it, but me and Fernie were sitting down outside. And you guys wanted to go inside.
No. It was memorabilia for the UFC, boxing, and wrestling. Is what it was.
But I didn't go in originally. Yeah. I stayed outside, and you were like, we're going to stop here. I was like, I'll stay with Fernie out here.
Yeah.
Just to make sure nothing happens.
So we go inside. I see some boxing stuff. I tell Mayo, hey, you got to see this. Mayo comes in, and what did you find?
I got an autographed picture from the first Arturo Gatti-Mickey Ward fight. It's autographed by both of them. And that fight is significant for many reasons. If you're a boxing fan, you know that's probably the greatest fight of all time. Not to mention the 9th round is probably the greatest round of all time. But also my uncle, my Uncle Joe died the night before that. Never got to see that fight. We were supposed to watch it together the following day. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, I'm all over that. I got it still. It'll eventually be up in a man cave somewhere.
Man cave to be built later.
Yeah. But
I
found that in there. So I'm like, oh, dude, look what I found. Now, I don't know how much time has lapsed, but we're told it's not much.
So at this point, Manuel's paying for his picture. I bought a couple shirts, and Louis roaming around in the store.
Yeah.
I look out. There was a few times where we glanced out. We saw Fernie still sitting on the bench. Now, according to Louis, the time lapse was about 45 minutes to an hour. That is horseshit. There is no way we were in that store that long.
No.
Max 30 minutes. Max.
There's no way it was even that, though. So I walked in and went straight to that bin, found it within 2 or 3 minutes, and then went to the cash register.
So I tell Manuel, where's Fernie? I don't know. He was on the bench. I saw him on the bench. Louis, you saw me and Manuel were paying for our shit. Where's Fernie? I don't know. I didn't see him. Oh, great.
He's gone.
He's gone. So we go walk outside. We're thinking he can't be too far. He's not even walking straight. Can't be too far away, right? So we start walking. Can't find this bastard. We can hear him.
Raiders.
Because you hear down the hall, Raiders off in the distance. And I look at Manuel and I go, tell me you heard that too. Like, it's not in my head. And he goes, no, I heard it too. So I take off jogging up ahead of everybody else. Still can't find him. Can't find him. And if you know anything about the layout in Planet Hollywood, they have what's called, it's like a mile deal of shops. And we literally made that lap twice to find him. Could not find him. We could hear him. Couldn't find him.
Yeah.
Never found him.
And his phone was dead.
Yes. So we tried calling him. His phone was dead. So I said, you know what? Screw it. He's a grown-ass man. He'll figure it out. We're going back to Planet Hollywood. So now we're a man short. Yeah. So the teams are uneven. Well, Louis had been in contact with his cousin quite a bit and was like, hey, why don't you come out here? And her and her boyfriend lived out there in Vegas. So she wanted to see Louis. She came out. So me and Manuel played Louis and his cousin in beer pong. 3 straight games. We're killing these people. Now we're making friends because in this bar, there's people singing karaoke. Yeah. There's another beer pong going on between a man and his girlfriend. And this guy was getting his ass handed to him.
Yep.
Game after game. Well, this is where things start to get dicey. Because she was tired. Louis' cousin was tired of playing with beer.
Yeah.
And we were like, well, we still want to keep going. Well, why don't we play with liquor? Was my bright idea. So then we all divvy up ends and throw some money on the table. I walk up to the bartender. I said, excuse me, what kind of alcohol do you guys have that's hard liquor? Because we want to play beer pong still, but we want to play with liquor. So she runs off this list. I said, rum and coke will work. Okay. She goes, so you need 10 cups? I said, no, I need 20 cups because we're playing beer pong, so it's 10 on each side. She goes, you really want to carry 20 cups? I said, hell no, put it in the pitcher. So she starts flipping the bottle upside down, and she's just going. And this guy at the bar looks at me and goes, dude, you're going to drink all that? I said, we sure as hell are. And he goes, you young people, you're a piece of work, bro. I started laughing. So then she tells me, it's $87 for 20 shots of this rum and coke all together because the way it was set up in the cups, it would be like a shot style. I throw the money on the table, keep the change. Go back, we pour out the cups. Ready to go. We play. We win again. And not only did we win, we smoked them. To the point that they were like, I don't know if we can drink all this. So we decided that we were going to help them since we were getting a bit thirsty. So at certain points during this whole thing, we're killing them so fucking bad. Manuel's like, dude, I haven't played forever. I go, well, whatever you're doing, keep doing. He'd hit a shot and he'd flex. I'd hit a shot and I'd be standing there pumped up like I just hit a game winner in the NBA Finals. It was ridiculous. So we had taken the stuff that we had bought in there with us. Well, we figure out, you know what? Hey, we're going to go eat. So we go to this cafe or restaurant, whatever you want to call it, outside of there. Well, at this point now, this is where things get fuzzy. Because we go in, sit down, and order food. Now, I couldn't tell you what I had ordered until me and you were on the plane.
The next day.
The following day. So we go to order food. I tell the waitress, hey man, I need to know the restroom's at. She goes, it's outside around the corner. Okay. So I walk right out, go to the restroom. I come walking out, I'm lost. Everything looks the same. The lights, the casino floor. If you've ever seen a casino floor,
the booths,
the noise, everything looks the same if you've been drinking. So I go looking around, and I don't see Manuel. I don't see Louis. I don't see his cousin. I'm almost in a state of panic. I see this lady, and she's a waitress counting out in the back of the restaurant. I walk up to her, and she goes, "Honey, are you lost?" I said, "I am." I said, "My friends were in here with me. We were eating. I can't find them. I don't know what's going on." She goes, "Well, the restaurant wraps around. Maybe you'll see him walking around." I said, "Okay." So I go walking out. I walk all the way back out. Now I'm confused. Because I'm thinking, no, this isn't how, that's not where, it was, she said around the corner.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking around like a jackass. I look to my right. They've been sitting in the front of the restaurant the entire time. So I go back. We finish eating. We get up. We put Louis' cousin in the cab. Louis almost falls down the escalator.
Yeah.
Me and Manuel are standing behind him. His cousin's in front of us. And Manuel turns around and sees him leaning on the wall as we're moving down. And all of a sudden he goes and Manuel lunges forward and grabs him by the back of the shirt and pulls him back. So they take off. And Louis goes, well, I guess we're going back to the hotel. I said, yeah. So we get in the cab. We go back to our hotel room at the Luxor. And for some reason, the light bulb goes off in my head that we don't have his autographed picture.
Well, the bag.
And we don't have my shirt.
The bag had everything
which had everything in it.
Now, we walk into the room, and I don't even think. I slammed right down on the bed. Louis hit the first one. I walked over to the second one. And
I was sleeping on the floor that night.
Yeah, because we had the arrangements we had where we were rotating. So I hit the second bed. Now, anybody who drinks knows that as soon as you hit the bed, if you've been drinking and you've got any kind of buzz, it gets a lot faster.
Yeah.
So you don't move from the bed. You just hug the bed and hope that you're not going to puke everywhere. Okay? So I'm sitting there, the room's spinning. I'm like, oh, okay, here's the good part.
The lights are off. Like, we had already laid down.
And all of a sudden, I hear Justin go, "Oh, shit." And I went, "Oh, man, what'd you do?" And he goes, "Me and you." I said, "Well, what did I do?" "We left the damn bag." And I said, "What bag are you talking about?" Mind you, it's been, I don't know,
hours at that point.
45 minutes, an hour at
No,
least.
it's been hours.
It's been hours. He's like, "Damn, we left it at the restaurant." I think I like, "What restaurant?" "Where we were eating." I said, "We ate?" And he's like, "Oh, we got to go get it." I was like, "I am not leaving this bed. You can go." He goes, "Well, your picture's in there." I was like, "Well, hopefully you find that too." I laid back down.
I got up.
He got up.
I got up. I put my shoes on.
Now, I heard the door close. Justin remembers leaving. The next morning...
No, okay, so this is what I remember. I remember leaving. I remember getting in the cab, and the dude's talking to me. He's like, "Oh, you're having a good time?" I'm like, "Yeah, whatever." I get back to Planet Hollywood. I run inside. I tell the lady, "I was just in here like 45 minutes ago. We were in here playing beer pong for like 3 hours. I guarantee you my shit should be here." She goes, tells one of the dudes at the front desk. Guy walks around the bar and goes, "This is yours, ain't it?" Knew exactly what bag was ours. Had my 2 shirts, Manuel's picture, and Manuel's jacket.
Yeah.
Manuel's jacket was in that bag.
Yeah.
So I grabbed the bag. I don't remember walking back or getting in the cab to go back. All I know is that at some point I pulled on a door that was locked and people in the hotel were looking at me. I don't know what hotel it was, but they were like, "Sir, are you okay?" And I was like, "Fuck you guys, I'm fine." And I just kept walking. And all of a sudden, I get back to the room and I go to sleep. And when I wake up, my phone just keeps beeping over and over again. Now, if you know anything about the distance for how long the strip is from certain spots, it's not short. From where we were staying at the Luxor to Planet Hollywood was 3 miles. Apparently, I walked from Planet Hollywood all the way back to the Luxor at like 3 a.m. drunk.
And how do we know that?
Because it was on Snapchat with a picture of me like this with my hand up in the air taking a selfie, looking back with all the hotels behind me just faded. And I'm proud of myself. I spelt everything correctly on Snapchat. And it said, "Drunk, walking back to the hotel at 3 in the morning." Everybody's texting me and like commenting on sending me snaps going, "Dude, you walked back? Like, what the hell?" I didn't know until we looked it up that it was 3 fucking miles that I walked back. I don't know. I can't tell you how I made it back. I don't know how I knew what direction to go, to be honest with you. But we made it back. The next morning...
Well, let's go back. we get to the room, still no Fernie.
Yeah, oh, okay. So still no Fernie. Yeah, still no Fernie. We crash out. At that point, we didn't give a shit. So we crash out. So in the morning, I hear the door open again. And I'm like, what the fuck's going on? It's Manuel. He's an early riser. Doesn't matter.
Didn't matter.
He gets up and he goes, hey, I found Fernie. I said, what? What are you talking about, you found Fernie? I said, oh, by the way, I found your shit. It's in the bag at the end of the bed. And he goes, what? I said, I went back last night. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, here. And I hit Snapchat on my phone. And I go, look. And he goes, you fucking walked back? I said, I sure did. And he goes, well, I'm going to go down and have breakfast with Fernie. You want to go with it? I said, hell no. I'm going back to sleep. And I climbed up into the bed because I've been sleeping on the floor. So Manuel leaves and he goes down and finds Fernie. And what did you find?
So I called Fernie. I kept calling him. I got up, I showered, and I started, man, I got to find this fool. His wife's going to kill me because she said he could go with me. So I'm feeling like, oh, crap, I lost her husband. I don't know where he's at. So I tried calling him, hoping his phone's on. He answers his phone. I said, hey, fool, where you at, man? He says, I'm down here in the nickel machines trying to win my Audi. I said, what? He goes, I'm in the Luxor at the nickel machines. Come find my Audi, man. I'm trying to win it. I was like, all right. So I walk, I go up real quick to let them know I found them. I go back down. So I'm looking for the Audi because on those slot machines, they got cars on top of some of them. I walk around. I finally see the Audi. I was like, okay, he's got to be on one of these somewhere. So, they're nice. The girls are in their graduate cap and gowns. Yeah. That one looks like it needs to be steamed.
It does.
My Asian's waving at me.
That sounds bad.
Yeah.
You look kind of dressed.
Good. I'm glad the tassels came in. It means my money wasn't wasted. So I walk around the slot machines. I find Fernie. I'm walking up. Okay, I see the Audi. I'm walking around. As I'm walking around the corner, I can see this girl. And she's standing next to this guy. She's got a hold of his arm and she's pulling him. And I'm looking. I'm like, is that my boy? And I see this girl. She's trying to tug on him. I'm like, oh, hell no. Some hooker's running up on my boy, So I go, I'm running at him. I was about to say something. And he straight up pushed her out. He's like, get the hell away from me, bitch. I love my wife. Get out of here. And I'm like, hey, get off my boy, man. She's like, he wants to come to the room with me. I looked at him. I said, you want to go to the room with this skank? And he's like, no, man, get her out of here. So some casino girl's probably just running up on him. I was like, oh, God, dude, it's a good thing I got here. He goes, oh, no, bro. She wouldn't get me out of here. I ain't leaving this Saudi here. I'm like, are you still drunk? He goes, nah, man, but are they here with my next beer yet? He's at the slot machine. He's probably been drinking all night.
He had not stopped.
Yeah.
So then we have breakfast, right?
Yeah, so we go to have breakfast at House of Blues. That's my favorite place to have breakfast. And I tell him, so what happened last night, man? Where'd you end up? He's like, well, after you guys left me, I go, whoa, left you? He goes, man, you went in that store and then you guys took off. I saw you guys leave. I was like, what? He said, I saw you guys leave. So I just got up and started walking around. And I said, were you the one, that dumbass yelling Raiders all the way across that shopping mall? He goes, dude, every time I saw a Raider jersey, I was like, we were chasing that fucking noise for an hour. Are you serious? And he's like, well, I called my cousins up, man, and they picked me up, and I hung out with them. I was like, oh, okay, good. At least you were looked after, He goes, looked after? I go, man, you were pretty wasted last night, dude. He's like, oh, no, that was with my cousins, and then they dropped me off at Luxor, and I didn't want to go upstairs, so I just sat at the nickel machine trying to win the Audi. I was like, oh, okay, cool. So, we had breakfast. Then
you guys came back. Well, we had to get our shit together.
Well, we had breakfast, and then he took back off because he left something with his cousin.
His phone charger.
His phone charger, and he wanted to get it. So he left, and he goes, go pack my stuff for me. I was like, all right.
So during the day on Sunday, we got an update saying our plane was delayed by 3 hours.
3 hours.
Then they got another update later in the afternoon saying it was only an hour.
Yeah.
So we get our shit together, and me and Louis go eat, and then we're like, hey, we just got to get on the plane. So we get to the airport in Vegas.
Well, we were out of things to do, so we're like, let's just go to the airport. We'll just get to the airport a little early, and we'll hang around the airport.
Well, no, we thought what we thought was early.
Yeah.
So we go to the airport, and they have that front desk check-in, right at the opening, and all of us get to the front to check in, and the guy goes, you guys are late. And we're like, what? We're like, no, there was a delay. He's like, no, there's not. Your flight's on time. We're like, what the hell?
And he goes, 40 minutes to flight time.
Dude, he's like, you got to run through security. So we run up, and he goes, I'm not going to lie to you, your bags might not make it to Fresno. We're like, what the fuck? Are you kidding me? He's like, nope. So we take off, and we go running up to security. Now, if you've never been to the Vegas airport, the security is much different than Fresno's airport.
Yeah.
Fresno, they make you take all your stuff off, put it in a bin. They run the bin through the scanner. You stand in the scanner like you're under arrest. They scan you. You walk out, grab your shit, you get the hell on. Vegas ain't like that. Vegas is a metal detector. They run your shit, and it's not all of it. It's only some of it, and dog bowls. And then they have a lady who periodically walks around with what looks like candle wax and rubs it on your palm and gets like your fingerprints and runs it through a scanner.
Yeah.
So we walk up and we literally ran to security, finding what gate we were supposed to be at. We run to security. We get there and there's a guy who looks like he just hates his life. This guy's standing there for security and he goes, I need anything that is, liquid
yeah.
or metal. And he goes, anything that's liquid or metal, put that in there. And put it in the bowl and let it go. Anything else, you take with you. Okay? So, take everything. I take my belt off. I cleared my pockets. Everything was in my bag anyway, so I didn't have to really worry about it, minus my phone. My phone was still in my pocket. Well, me thinking, I was like, my phone's not metal. So, I turn around and I walk through the thing. It goes off. The lady scans me. She's like, what do you got? I said, my phone. And the guy, I go and she goes, oh, just put it in the bowl and it'll go through. So I reach over to put my phone in the bowl, and this piece of shit looks at me and goes, do you not understand what metal is? I go, oh, you got to be joking. And Manuel goes, just go. And he pushes me through the metal detector. I get through fine. Everybody gets their stuff. We're literally running through this airport. Fernie's still drunk, running. The rest of us are not feeling all that great, running. I'm putting my belt on as we're running, and I go, you know what? I understand that it's security and you got to be firm, but if you don't like your job, don't fucking do it. And this old guy who was 60 behind us goes, oh, you must have been in the same security line as I was in. So we start busting up laughing. We get to the gate, and there's no plane. And I'm like, oh, shit. So I run up to the desk at the gate, and I tell the lady, I said, hey, we were told that our flight was on time after we got a message about a delay. And she goes, oh, you're fine. Your flight won't be here for another 45 minutes. I said, oh, you got to be kidding me.
Hauling ass through the airport, Home Alone style.
So then we look over, and there's slot machines in Vegas. You're literally looking at all the hotels, the airstrip, and then there's slot machines and stuff inside, and there's food. So we sit down. Me and Manuel literally, I have a picture somewhere. I think it's on one of my flash drives or something. Manuel's literally put his hat down in front of his nose and slept in the airport.
Yeah.
I look over at Fernie, because we know Fernie ain't been to bed yet, and he's leaned over on the slot machine. He started playing and started dozing off, right? So 45 minutes, plane gets there. We get on the plane. These jackasses had to sit together because my plane ticket is only 3 seats in a row. I'm sitting in the row in front of them. And they're like, make sure you make room for everybody because the plane's full. By the time the plane fills up with everybody get on them, I'm looking around. There's nobody in my row. I'm like, oh, ha, you guys got stuck together. Man was like, hey, please let Fernie sit next to you so we can have some room back here. We just want... I said, that's fine. Well, when we get ready to take off, there's 4 other planes that still haven't taken off yet.
Yeah.
Right? And every time I've flown to Vegas, it's been dark. And I've never sat by the window. Well, my bright idea is I'm going to sit by the window in the middle of the day. I'm 6'2". I'm afraid of heights. This was not my wisest choice. So I look over, and Fernie's dozed off, head on his shoulder, asleep. Well, we're on the strip for about 45 minutes before we even take off. Fernie looks over at me and he goes, shit, we're already home? I said, Fernie, we ain't left Vegas. He goes, you're lying. I said, Fernie, look out the window. All the hotels are right there. Bullshit. Fernie, look over at the window. Oh, you gotta be shitting me. Dude, go back to sleep. So he starts to go back to sleep. So we finally start to take off. Manuel knows how I am when we fly. And I'm sitting directly in front of him. And he goes, are you all right? I said, oh, I'm fine. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look out the window. I think Louis was asleep too.
Louis was asleep, yeah.
So we turn around and the plane starts to take off and everything's cool. We're getting up off the ground. I'm looking at all these houses get smaller and stuff. I'm still good. Everything's fine until the plane hooks a right. We're sitting on the right side of the plane. So when you hook a right and you're sitting next to the window, what you're seeing is the ground. I start having a panic attack. that I feel like I'm falling out this fucking window. I start pushing away from the window, like in the chair, like trying to get away from the window. Man was like, just breathe. You're fine. I was like, no, damn that. Get me away from this window. And he's like, dude, you're fine. I swear, you're fine. I'm sitting next to the window too. You're fine. I'm like, no, I'm not fine. He's like, dude, breathe. You're fine. Stop telling me to breathe, bro. Like, I'm not okay. Fernie sleeps through the whole thing. Louis sleeps through the whole thing. We get up in the air. We level off. We start cruising. Now I'm looking out the window because it's cool. It's the mountains and all this other stuff. Now I'm fine. So we get going. We finally get everything straight. We get back into Fresno. And everything like starts to hit us. That we're all headed back to our jobs. Yeah. We're all headed back to reality. After 4 days in Vegas, fun is over. So we get our shit and we go to the escalator. And we're going down, and I start looking around at all the people in the airport. I look over at Manuel, and I go, you believe this? And he goes, what? I said, it's back to ugly people in reality. And he starts busting up laughing. So we go, and I'm like, well, what if our luggage isn't there? Like, because that guy might have fucked up at the front desk, like, our luggage might not be here. Yeah. Turned out it was okay. Yeah. Luggage turned out okay. We literally all rode together, so it was like, friends that had been at summer camp all summer, telling each other we'll see you later at each stop. Like everybody goes, you lost somebody. What is this? The Hangover? Kinda, yeah. It kinda was. I mean, it kinda was. And because we lost Fernie on the second trip, Fernie didn't get to come on the third trip. Yeah. Unfortunately, he didn't, and it wasn't our choice. We wanted him to go, but he was afraid that he was going to get lost.
Was he sober when he got off the plane?
No.
He was still drunk.
After conversations, it took him 3 days to recover from his 36-hour debacle.
We all went home and slept. Like, we talked to each other. Like, the following day, I called him. I was like, dude, were you all right? He's like, I went home and slept the whole night. He's like, I literally went home and just went to bed. I was like, me too. I go, did you talk to Fernie? He was still drunk. Louis was hurting. Yeah. Like, it was an awesome trip, an awesome experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But do I want to, get that drunk again? No. Probably not. No. Probably not.
The beer was free.
Right. It was fun. It was cool. So that's Vegas trip number 2. I know this podcast ran longer than what we have done. What are we at time-wise?
1:45.
1:45. So this will be our longer one, but it's definitely worth the listen. The back half of it, if you're not into the sports stuff that we talk about, the Vegas trip part 2, definitely worth the listen.
Yeah, for sure.
So Friday, we have an idea of what's a possibility. We got something in store for you guys Friday. So until then, we'll see you guys Friday, and we've been unprofessional.
Enjoy the week. And insensitive. Have a good week.